everybody, welcome to episode 7 of Pins and Needles, my crafty blog. My name is Zoe. You can find me on Ravelry as BFG and on Instagram as pinsandneedlesuk. A big hello to my new viewers. I've had loads of new subscribers this last 2 weeks, so thank you very much. And a warm welcome back to any of the old hands. Thank you for joining me again. It is hard to find time to watch podcasts and do crafty things, so thank you for spending a little bit of it with me. Today is Friday the 29th of July. I've decided to start recording on a Friday and then I will publish the videos on a Saturday. At the moment the kids are on school holidays, so it doesn't make much difference. But during the term time, it'll be a more peaceful day for me to record. And I've got a busy weekend coming up, so this was my only chance to get this done. Right, it's been 2 weeks. My kids are on summer holidays, which is always a bit of a challenge. We're going away in August for a week, well, just over a week. So at the moment, Dave and I are still working and juggling kids and trying to make them feel like they're having a nice time. So we've been doing some day trips, lots of time down on the beach, going swimming with the dog. They do enjoy that. I'm very lucky to live on the coast in South Wales. So literally we are 5 minutes walk from the beach. My house is just gritty and damp from now until about October, so you learn to live with these things and just accept that's how it will be. So yes, I've done some nice trips with the kids. We took the train into Cardiff and then went to Bute Park. If you follow me on Instagram, I put a couple of pictures up on there, and Cardiff Castle is right in the centre of the city, and there's a beautiful park. It's tens of acres. And it contains a large portion of the River Taff, lots of lovely cycle paths. It's an arboretum, so there's beautiful arrangements of trees and gorgeous cottage garden, flower beds and cafes and sculpture trails and things. So we had a nice day out there. I put a couple of pictures on my Instagram feed, took some sandwiches, had a picnic. Conrad, my eldest, is into Pokemon Go, if any of you like that, so he was pleased as punch because there was a hot spot where there were loads of Pokemons. And then I took them to a place in the park where they were doing a 360-degree virtual reality bug thing. I don't really know. They had this big, looked like a massive motorcycle helmet, and inside were 3D virtual reality goggles and earphones. And then you had like a small rucksack on, and you were a mosquito, and then you were a dragonfly, and then you were a frog, and then you were an owl. So you had all this weird multicolour swirly movements through the goggles and woodland noises in your ears. And then every now and then, like when you were the dragonfly, your backpack would buzz as if it was wings, go like this. So that was good fun. Anyway, so there's some pictures on my Instagram feed if you want to see pictures of my horrible offspring, and a few pictures of out and about, so you can check that out there. Tomorrow, on the Saturday, we have our annual Works Summer Beach Barbecue Bonanza. Every summer, all of my staff, quite a few of the members, lots of friends, all come up to our house, dump their stuff, and then they go down to the beach for a couple of hours, and then we do a big barbecue in the garden. So I'm barbecuing for, I think, about 35 tomorrow, so lots to do. I've got to make cake. Dave's doing the garden as we speak, so I might have to rattle through this a bit fast today because I've got to make 2 pavlovas and 2 large lemon tarts. My tins are literally twice the size of my head, so that's a lot of baking to do. Right, so I will crack on, and first of all I wanted to say an enormous thank you to everybody who entered my giveaway competition, as well as people saying yes please they'd like to enter. A lot of you were very kind and left me nice comments saying how much you enjoyed the podcast, excuse me, and which particular parts you enjoyed, so that was all lovely to hear. Thank you for your bits and pieces of feedback, and there were also some interesting comments. The last time I mentioned a Seamwork article called Who Taught You? and talked a little about how I learnt to knit and to sew, and quite a few of you gave me a little peek into your crafting stories as well, so I very much enjoyed reading those, so thank you for that. So yes, there were 31 entries for the giveaway. So I jumped onto randomnumbergenerator.org this morning and it picked number 10. So the lucky winner is Threads All Over. So yay, congratulations, Threads All Over. You can either send me a message on Ravelry. I'm BFG on Ravelry. You can message me on Instagram or you can email me, and my email address is hipinsandneedles@gmail.com. I'll put all of that on the screen and down in the show notes as well at the bottom. So congratulations to Threads All Over, and you have won this pile of goodness: notebook, sheepy buttons and minis. So well done. And yeah, thank you everyone who entered and left me comments. That was very kind. Okay, straight into pins, my sewing section. Now, I promised you that I would have finished my trousers because good grief, you must be sick of hearing about them. And I have. I made myself Simplicity 1887 View A, this one by here. And if I stand up and manage not to knock my laptop over, I'll show you what they look like. Are you ready? Move my chair back a bit. Oh, sorry, I've got a rather long t-shirt on. So here are my Simplicity trousers. There's the flat waistband here, and the elasticated waist starts by there. There's a couple of pleats in the front, and some nice cutaway pockets. Nice, I love a pocket. If I give you a little twirl. I can't really see how this is coming out on the screen. I can't see how it's doing, but anyway, those are my trousers. I'm absolutely thrilled with them. They're the first trousers I've ever made. I think they were quite a good beginner pattern. Now, you can't quite see, but goodness me, there's a lot of fabric in here. I know the front's pleated. Oh, I'm back. But yes, if you have a look at the picture, whilst they're certainly roomy, I've ended up with almost palazzo pants. So I may still take the side seams in a bit, but they're perfectly wearable. I'm very happy with them. I talked last episode about cutting out my rayon fabric. I'd had a real difficult time with rayon when I made my Bettine dress. So this time round, I put a tablecloth on my dining room table, then the rayon fabric, and then the pattern pieces, pinned all of them together, and it was much more stable. So when I came to sew these together, the pieces were much more accurate. I think that made a real difference, so I'll certainly be doing that again. In terms of modifications, I had that issue where the waist was too large, but the waistband was struggling to come over my hips. So in the end, rather than a 5/8 seam, I used a 3/8 seam, just to give me a bit more room. And that's worked really well. I also used different elastic. I used a better quality elastic and a slightly wider elastic for my final version, and that helped a lot as well. So it's a nice fit around my waist. You know, stays up nicely, enough room for plenty of cake. When I was reading through the instructions, it very rarely mentioned finishing any edges, and neither did it mention stay stitching. And I don't know if you can tell, but these pockets, I don't know, I understitched the facing to the seam allowance of the front trouser, even though it didn't say to do so. But they do just pouch out a little bit, and I'm not sure if I stretched the fabric slightly. It is a very drapey fabric. Or if it would have benefited from stay stitching along that edge for a bit of stability. So if I make these again, I think I would stay stitch the edge. The other thing I did, once I'd cut my fabric pieces out, I left one pin through the pattern piece onto the tracing paper pattern piece as well. So the fabric piece was pinned to the paper piece, and I folded them into thirds like this and carried them very carefully. So there was a bit of support for the fabric from the tracing paper pattern I made. So hopefully that helped keep everything in shape as well. I added 5 inches to the length of the leg, so that was fab. I'm 6'1", so I have to add anywhere between 4 and 5 inches to everything I make, but that was easy enough to do. I just cut and spread at the bottom of the leg, no problems at all. And I think that's about all there is to say. I made a size 16, even though according to the pattern I should have made a size 22, so that's a good 3 sizes different. And other than that, I'm happy as Larry. They are very wide, so if I take in the side seams, I might take them in from the pockets all the way down, and then hopefully that might just tuck in that little pouty bottom lip of the pocket. Looks like it's doing this. I have to have pockets. Anyway, so I'm thrilled with those. I've worn them a couple of times. I've worn them to the beach and got them covered in mud, and they are lovely and cool and comfy. So I'm very pleased with those indeed. My next project, I did mention this a few weeks ago, is going to be these. And these are the Weston shorts from Seamwork. It's a PDF pattern. I'll show you the line drawings inside because it makes it a little bit clearer. There you are, look. So at the top, this is the outside and then this is the inside, just so you can see the construction details. So it's got darts in the front and the back. It's a 2-button waist and a lapped zip, which I've never done before, so that will be my new challenge. And also I want to add pockets, because everything should have pockets, and who wants shorts that hasn't got pockets in? So I'll definitely be giving those a go. Yeah, lap zips are a new skill for me. And when I was looking through the sizes, I have a 37-inch waist, and I fall between the size 16 and 18 in this pattern. It starts at a size 0 and goes all the way up to a size 26, and the sizes increase, the waist measurement increases by 2 inches for every size until you get to the 16, where it jumps from a 36-inch waist for the 16 to a 39-inch waist for the 18. Now, I'm kind of stuck in the middle there. I am in the process of losing a little bit of weight, so I'm undecided. So I'm going to make a toile. I always make a toile, and I think I'm going to make it in the size 16, and again do the same trick I did on these trousers and just have a smaller seam allowance. 5/8 is what the pattern states. I will do it at 3/8 and see if that works. The inside leg measurement on these, so from the crotch, so this measurement down here, that is 4 inches. I want to add at least 3 inches to that, because for them to reach mid-thigh like they do on this beautiful lady, I'm going to have to add at least 3 inches. Normally lengthening patterns isn't a problem, but let me show you the PDF. Here's the PDF pattern, and can you see, I have to fold it in half. At the bottom, the seam comes down and then it has this little kick out just at the bottom. And there is no line marked on here for lengthening or shortening. So I traced my size off. Here we are, got out my baking parchment and I traced off my size. It's much easier to see what's going on. And if I show you the bottom, I'm not sure how well it's going to show on the screen. Oh yes, so up here, this is the original pattern. I traced that out and I've extended it all the way down here and then added another kick out at the bottom. But trying to get the angles right on that, I'm just going to have to make it and see how it pans out. The other bit I had difficulty, I know how to trace, that's not a problem, but it has darts in the top, and these patterns, PDF patterns, are nested, so you get all of the sizes on one pattern piece. And if you have a look at the darts at the top, it is such a mush up by here. I could identify my dart size, that was fine, and from here out and from here out I could find my size. But this bit in the middle and this bit here where the darts come along, I really struggled to follow my size. So I did my best, and that's what a practice version is for. So I'll see if they fit, and I'm sure I can MacGyver it so it all comes out. So yes, Seamwork pattern, Weston shorts. It's the first time I've sewed with a PDF, so I wasn't too sure how they were going to come together. I did actually, in case you guys haven't seen a PDF pattern before, I thought I'd show you how they come. This is another Seamwork pattern for the Akita top. But anyway, so you print a load of A4 sheets off, and on the very first page, they have a test square. So you print just page 1, and then you measure this, and if it is 4 inches by 4 inches, you're good to go, and you can print the rest of the thing. And then, can you see the pattern pieces are labelled 2A there and 1A up over here. So you print all of these out, and although it's a lot of paper, it's not a huge amount of ink because it's only lines. So then you cut all of these bits out, and you end up with little pattern pieces, all rectangles. And what you have to do is, let me see if I can get these the right way around. Can you see there are 2 triangles that say 1A? So you line them up like this, and you stick them together. They do provide you with a map, effectively, so you can make sure you've got them all stuck together fine. And then at the end, you end up with your pattern piece like this. You can see the shiny bits from the sticky tape. You could cut out the size you want from this. Because I knew I'd want to make modifications and I might fall between 2 sizes, I still chose to trace mine off. But the beauty of PDFs is you can save them on your computer and print them off as often as you like. So yes, that's my first attempt at a PDF pattern for some shorts. I'm going to be making them in this lovely denim fabric. I bought this from Butterfly Fabrics in Cardiff. It's quite a while ago now, and I've got 3 meters of it. I think I was originally going to make some trousers, not jeans, sort of drawstring casual trousers, but changed my mind. So I'll definitely be able to get some shorts out of this. I can't remember if it's stretch denim. I don't know about you, but I buy fabric and I don't make a note of the exact content, if it's got elastane or anything in it. So I'm thinking, no, I don't think there's any stretch in this. Doesn't seem very stretchy. So yeah, it's a fairly lightweight denim. It's not super thick because these are supposed to be summer shorts, but they should hold up well to dog walking and scrambling across rock pools with the kids. So yes, that's my fabric. I've got 3 meters of this. I need 2 buttons for the waistband, which I haven't yet got, and neither have I got my zip. I need a 7-inch zip, so I will have to nip to the shops next week and get some of that. So hopefully I'll be able to have some more finished sewn garments to show you next time. Although I've got a bit of faffing around to do with this pattern, you know, it should be reasonably quick to sew once I've got it sorted, and I'll just make sure that I practice the zip on the toile, and we'll see. I'll put lots of pictures up on Instagram of the stages of me sewing, so keep your eye out on that. So about half of this lovely denim fabric will be used to make shorts, and the other thing I wanted was a denim skirt. Now, I don't usually buy sewing magazines. Between Ravelry and sewing blogs and things like that, I have plenty of sewing news and tips and tricks. So I buy sewing magazines only if I like the pattern. And I bought, I can't remember the name of the magazine. I can't even remember if I've got it with me. I can't remember the name of the magazine. Anyway, it had this pattern in it. It's called the Chelsea Collection, and it's 2 different lengths of denim skirt, some simple trousers and 2 blouses. I'm terribly sorry, I've just knocked the mouse off the sofa. Bear with. There we are, we're back. So yes, so I'm going to have a go at making that denim skirt. According to this, I need 1.45 metres of fabric, so I should have enough. My new skill on this will be buttonholes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 buttons, and that is definitely a new to me skill. I've got a automatic buttonhole thing on my machine, so I'll have a practice on some scrap fabric. This is designed, the entire instructions for this pattern is 4 sides of A4, so you get that one for the general laying out, this side's the top, this side's the skirt, and that side's the trousers. So they're fairly basic instructions, but then they're fairly basic patterns, and they do say on the envelope, go online for exclusive video tutorials, so I'll be having a look at those. And the website for this is www.simplesewpatterns.com. So next time I will have denim shorts and a denim skirt to show you. I'm going to have to do some sort of switcheroo in the middle. So that's my sewing content. I'm looking forward to having some more wearable things. Summer is a bit, by and large at the moment, we're tending to have very grey, wet mornings and then sunny in the afternoon. So hopefully I'll get a chance to wear these. We'll see. We shall see. Right, let me move those out of the way. Quick drink. Okay, on to needles, my knitting bit. Now, first of all, I hope you're sitting comfortably because the last time I recorded, I was one sleep away from going to Yarningham. Yarningham is a brand new knitting show held in Birmingham. It's organised by Stitches and Hose, which is a local Birmingham knit and natter group, I think. And they held it in Sturchley Baths in Birmingham. Now, Sturchley Baths is a converted Edwardian swimming pool / bathhouse. It's beautifully done. Nice, easy to find venue. My mum lives in Stratford-on-Avon, which is just south of Birmingham. So Jenny of Our About Yarn, I jumped in the car with her and all of her plastic tubs of awesome yarn and things, and we drove up to my mum's on the Friday night, slept over there, and then it's just a 40 minute drive to Birmingham. So we whizzed up the motorway, found Sturchley Baths, and oh my goodness, it was such a hot day. It was about 28 degrees Celsius. I've no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, sorry. It was about 28 degrees Celsius anyway, and it was very humid. And then, as I said, it's an Edwardian bath, and the very ridge of the roof had been done out in glass. So it was literally a greenhouse. And we were along one side of the baths, and the sun ran literally right along the ridge of the roof and was just burning, and the whole place was boiling hot. There was no air conditioning. And it got to the point where actually people were starting to feel quite peculiar. So we took it in turns to go and stand outside for some fresh air. Anyway, so Jenny and I set up the stand. Piles of sock yarn and hand-dyed fibre, some lovely stitch markers and bags and things like that. And we were there for 2 days, and it was wonderful, you know, because it was a brand new show. We weren't sure how many people would come, how busy we would be, did we have too much stock or not enough, you know, but it was fabulous. It was a really good turnout. They hadn't sold many tickets in advance, so I think the girls were a bit worried, but lots of people came on the day, which was wonderful. So I wanted to say hello to Sally and Maria, some friends of Ravelry and Instagram. So they came to see us, so it was lovely to catch up with them. We also said another hello to Danny of Little Bobbins. Hi Danny. She'd come out for the day. So it was nice to see her again and have a chat. And I also met, for the very first time, Zena from the Little Yellow Uke Crafts podcast. Hi Zena. I've been watching her for quite a while. And you do feel like you get to know people, even though you haven't met. So she came down for the day with her son. So that was really nice to say hello to her. And I took lots of nice pictures of Yarningham. I'll put some at the very beginning in the opening credits, so you can check those out. And there's more on my Instagram feed as well. So yeah, we sold yarn and fibre like mad all Saturday. My mum had made us a lovely packed lunch, so we had some nice cheesy rolls and packets of crisps and more cake than we knew what to do with. And Jenny made us all nice cardboard fans because it was so unbelievably hot. So all of the stands around us, Jenny made them all a paper fans. We were all stood flapping like this. And then headed home that night to my mum's again. And Mum had made us a lovely supper, so we ate dinner and sort of collapsed on the sofa and stared into the middle distance for an hour and then just went to bed because we were so tired. I think the heat had just taken it out of us. And then back again for the Sunday, which was just as busy. So that was a really good festival. They'll be holding it again next year, and so make sure, presumably it'll be the same sort of time. In July, so keep an eye out, and if you can make it next year, I thoroughly recommend it. Obviously Jenny was there as Owl About Yarn, and pretty much all of the rest of the stands were new to me. I don't know if you guys were all aware of them, but there was Fab Funky Fibres, there was Beyond Measure, there was Hand Dyed by Kate, Joan It's So, Phileas Yarns, hi to Sylvie of Phileas Yarns, she was lovely as well. So some really different independent yarn dyers, so it was really nice to get a different selection of yarns and colours, and because every dyer has their own style, so it's really nice to meet new ones, and there were so many lovely things there. I will show you my acquisitions. I'm supposed to be cold sheeping. No more yarn, really. And I sort of failed. I sort of fell off the wagon a bit. I will start by showing you something I was allowed to buy. I needed buttons for my cardigan that I'm knitting, and Textile Garden was there. If you've done any sort of fibre festivals in the UK, I'm sure you'll have seen Textile Garden. They have a huge selection of wonderful buttons. And I took my swatch with me. The light's not going to let me show you. Printed on these buttons are tiny little knit stitches. It's just not going to do it, is it? I'll try and take a better picture and put it up on the blog. But yes, so they are a pale cream with little blue knit stitches on, and I got a dozen. They are, smaller than the pattern calls for, but I love them. I can't decide. I might use these, or I might have to buy some more, because I could always not do button holes in the button band, just do poppers, and then just sew these on as decoration. I'll have to see when I get there. So that was from Textile Garden. As well as buttons, they do lovely shawl pins and things like that. So that was good fun. And then on the stand next to us was run by a lovely lady called Grace. Hello, Grace, if you're watching. And she runs an online shop called Beyond Measure. You can find her at www.shopbeyondmeasure.co.uk. And here is her little card, leaflety thing. And what she sells is sort of crafty haberdashery accessories, handmade ones. So beautiful turned wooden pin cushions, handmade leather pouches to keep your scissors safe, some lovely buttons and things like that. She was really lovely, and we had lots of nice chats. Jenny made her a fan. And I treated myself to two things from her stand. This, which is a Merchant and Mills gauge, a sewing gauge basically. So if you're trying to turn a hem or add a bit of length to a pattern, you know, I've been using a tape measure, but you sort of have to keep counting, particularly if you're dealing in parts of an inch. But with this, it has a slidey red bit that sticks out slightly, so you can move it to wherever you need it to, and it's just a much faster visual aid. So yeah, it's a nice sort of vintagey looking one. I think it was literally about £3, and the one that I'd seen on Amazon was closer to £6, and it was bright green plastic, so I bought myself one of those. And also some Sashiko needles. They come in this beautiful packing case, and when I sew, I do quite a lot of hand tacking, hand basting. I know you can baste on a sewing machine, but to be honest, I think, well, if you need to baste something, putting it through a machine to do it, your fabric's already going to be in the wrong place. So I tend to hand baste things quite a bit. And these needles come in a rather nice plastic test tubey sort of thing. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you. Let me move it around a bit so you don't get the label, but can you see how long the needles are? I've got quite large hands. Let me see if I can get one out. And that is how long the needles are. They're probably a good 2.5 inches long. I've used these already, hand tacking seams on my trousers. I absolutely love these. They're really good quality. And much more comfortable to use. There's a selection in there, 2 long ones, 2 medium and 2 short. So yeah, Sashiko needles, absolutely thrilled with those. So thank you very much to Grace for those. And again, I think maybe only £6 or so for the needles, so I think that was a bit of a bargain as well. And then, oh, I need a drink before I can share this information. I may have bought yarn wantonly for a new project. I'm just going to have to confess. Okay, so excuse the crinkling. There was a new to me dyer there called Jo, and her company is Jo Knit Sew. Unfortunately, she didn't have any business cards, so I'll show you the label. Jo Knit Sew, there you are, and she's on Etsy. I'll put her details down in the bottom box. And this is her mini selection. It's called Colourway Jimmy on Sparkle Sock, and it's 5 20-gram skeins. And look at these colours. I'm just going to hide my face so you can see the awesomeness. They're not pastels, but they are soft colours, and they are sparkly, and they are smooth, and they are shiny, and I love them, and they smell nice too. So I bought 1 pack from her, absolutely love these. And then there was another dyer there who I've been following on Instagram for some time, and I was desperate, absolutely desperate to buy some of her things. And this is the very lovely Gillian from Mothy The Squid. She has an Etsy shop, etsy.com/UK/shop/Mothy The Squid. She's all the way from Scotland, and I bought some minis from her, and she has these absolutely amazing octopus labels. Aren't they lush? I don't know if she has a stamp and if she stamps her own, but yeah, who doesn't want a squid octopus label? So these minis are 75% merino, 25% nylon, 4-ply superwash sock, 420 metres per 100 grams. Now I couldn't wait. I was going to try and not start knitting with any of my new minis until I had recorded this podcast, but I cracked 2 days after I got home. And these were so gorgeous, I wound them by hand, which I usually hate doing, but it was all just so fantastic. I wound them by hand. Look at this. The colours are a little bit, they're coming out a little bit too bright on there, but there's a purple. They're all tonal colours. So there's a tonal green, yellow, purple and blue. And then this one is a truly rainbow skein, and you get all of the colours in there. You see them peeking through. There we are, look. So these are my Mothy and the Squid minis. And Gillian's stand was just the other side. We were on the edge of the building, and then there was a double row of stands up the middle. And she was over there, and she had some cubby holes in her stand with these big packs of minis on, and I spent all of Saturday worried that she was going to sell out. So I didn't buy anything on the Saturday. I did all my shopping on the Sunday. I thought, no, if you're going to break cold sheep, you must consider your purchases. You can't impulse buy. But look, Mothy and the Squid, absolutely love this stuff. Couldn't wait to start knitting with it. I'll show you the project in a minute. So that was my Mothy and the Squid purchase. And then, as I said, I was helping Jenny of Owl About Yarn on her stand. And she very kindly, oh, there's Jim the dog, excuse me. She very kindly gave me some yarn as a thank you for helping her out, both at Wonderwool in April and at Yarningham. So this isn't breaking my cold sheep. I'm cold sheeping for financial budget reasons, which means free yarn is totally allowed. So don't be judging me for this free yarn. So my favourite is this. This is hand spun. It must have taken hours. She's a wonderful spinner, and I'm really touched that she spun this up for me. So it's a great big smooshy skein. It came with a label that tells me. And the fibre was from John Arbon, colourway Thistle. And it's 65% merino, 35% Zwartballs. Zwartballs, is that how you say it? And it's 125 grams, 435 yards of 2-ply, which makes it a sport to fingering weight yarn. So I don't know what to make with this. I think it's going to have to mature in my stash for a bit. But if you can see, there we are. It's a 2-ply, and it's not barber poled, but it's a grey and a purple. It's a really lovely heathered yarn. It suits me. It's my favourite colour. It might have to be something around my neck. It's really bouncy, really squishy. So yes, there was that. And then when we were at Wonderwool, Jenny had said I could have any skein of yarn I liked as a thank you for helping her out. And she dyed 5 of every colourway on the stand for the show, and the one I wanted sold out. And I was so sad because I knew that it would be a while before she dyed anything again. And Jane said, oh, choose something else. And I said, no, I really want that one, and I'm quite happy to wait. So just next time you get your dye pots out, dye me a skein of that. Well, I can't even tell you how excited I am. Look at this. Look at this. Rainbow and charcoal and black sparkly awesomeness. I will undo one skein so you can see it. She didn't put a label on. I'm not quite sure which of her bases this is. It could be, I think it's the merino nylon, which could be Cuddly Owl. Cuddly Owl? But yeah, there it is, look. So it's a rainbow in the middle, and then it's hard to show you. There we are, look. Yeah, rainbow in the middle. and then charcoal for the rest. And I've got 2 skeins of this, which must be 800 or so metres. So I'm absolutely thrilled with this. And there's a possibility that I might be test knitting a shawl for someone. And this, I might use it for that because I do like a nice big crescent shawl. Yeah, look at that burst of yellow. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm thrilled with these. So I actually came away with 3 massive skeins of fingering. And each of my sets of minis was also the equivalent of a skein. So huge amounts of yarn in spite of my cold sheeping. And Jenny also made me a set of teapot stitch markers, and she used tiger's eye beads because they're my colours, and she also thought it looked like tea. So I'm thrilled with those. Thank you very much, Jenny, you're ever so kind. So yes, that is my stash enhancement from Yarningham. It's a little bit shameful, but I'm not sorry in the slightest. Right, I should really show you some actual knitting content, shouldn't I? I will start with my Mothy the Squid mini project. It's in my Eldenwood Craft bee bag, which I love. One of the podcasts that 2 that I watch, Bakery Bears with Dan and Kay Jones, and Zena from Little Yellow Uke that I mentioned I met earlier. And Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears has a blanket project going, and it's called, let me check my notes, a Stitch in Time blanket. And she wanted to come up with a blanket that was somewhere between a mitered square scrappy blanket and a log cabin style blanket. So what she came up with was a blanket made up of 12 blocks. And each block, oh sorry, I'm wrestling with my project. Each block was made up of 9 mitered squares with a border around the edge. And she had 12 blocks in hers, 1 for each month of the year. So she had Christmassy colours for December and blues and greys for the cold of January. And Zena was doing a same pattern, and she had a lovely red square, all different coloured reds for February for Valentine's Day. And whichever month she got married in, she had beautiful pinks and lilacs in that one. And I think August was beachy colours, so blues and sandy yellows. So I'm making one of those, but I'm going to make squares where each square is by its own indie dyer. So I knit up my Mothy the Squid minis into squares. So each colour appears twice, and then the middle square is that multi skein. And I've got 3 squares. Oh! You can't stop knitting these. I just had to accept that I needed to get it out of my system a little bit. So what you do is you knit these and you join them all into a block of 9, and then you add a garter stitch border. You could do any colour. I think I'm going to do, I can put that there, look, it sit on my shoulder like a parrot. I'm going to do cream, and Jenny is very unfortunately away on holiday at the moment. I've been mateless. So when she's back, she's going to find me some undyed cream sparkle sock yarn. And you pick up stitches and you do 5 garter ridges for any border that's going to be internal. And then you do 10 garter ridges for any border that's going to be external. And you knit as many squares as you like and seam them all together. So I'm going to knit up as many squares out of each indie dyer's yarns as I can. So far I've got 3 Mothy the Squid ones, and I can probably get another 3 blocks out of what I've got. So I'll have Mothy the Squid squares. I will have Jo Knit Sew squares. I'm sure I've got enough scrappy leftovers for an Owl About Yarn square section. And my friend Ellie is also a yarn dyer. She dyes under the name Tivin Bryn, and I'm sure I've got enough of her leftovers to make another set of squares. I'm sure that Jenny and Ellie will let me have some of their scraps if we do a swap as well. So yes, this is my new project. I haven't thought of a name for it yet, but it's a Stitch in Time blanket by Kate Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast. Her pattern has 41 stitches per little mitered square. I'm doing 31. I don't know why. I just did smaller squares, faster finish. So that's my new project. And yes, these squares were by Gillian of, oh, wrong card. That was another indie dyer I saw at Yarningham, Little Boo Yarns. They were also quite nice. Ah, there we are. Mothy the Squid. Go and find you on Etsy. So that's my new, sorry, all my yarn was running away. That's my new cast on. So I'm enjoying that very much. Hopefully I will get some cream yarn and then next time I can show you a properly finished square. Okay, next up, things you've seen before. I'm still knitting away on my, why can't I ever remember the name of these socks? Driftwood socks. Driftwood socks by Mina, Philipp. I don't know why I can't remember. I love the pattern. I'd finished one last time, so there's the pattern. It's 2x2 rib at the top, heel, flap and gusset, and a standard decreased toe. I knit these on 2.25mm needles. I cast on 72 stitches, a little bit too big, so I decreased down to 68 for the foot. I got quite a bit of these knit at Yarningham. There were times when it was quiet, so I just hung my project bag off my money apron that Jenny gave me, and I could get in a few cheeky rows. Quite a lot of the stall holders were working on socks. Sylvie from Phineas Yarns was knitting Hedera by Cookie A. That's a lovely pattern. She had some nice green yarn for that. Right, so the last time I showed you these, I was here, and I've gone all the way down the leg, heel, flap and gusset, and I think I'm ready to start the last toe. I need to double check, but I've had enough of these socks now. I've enjoyed knitting them. I love the yarn. The yarn is Miju wools in autumn leaves. She's a local dyer to West Wales. This yarn was a gift from a friend, so I'm not sure if you can find her on Etsy. But yeah, I've had enough now. I want to knit other things, so I'm hoping to get these finished this weekend. If I can, every finished object that I post in my monthly thread on Ravelry, you are eligible to win a prize. There's lots of prizes donated every month. I don't usually play for prizes. I've got plenty of patterns that are waiting for me to knit. I'm trying not to acquire new yarn. And also a lot of them are American, and I know that postage across to the UK can be expensive. So I don't normally bother playing for prizes. I love the friendship and the camaraderie and seeing everyone's lovely work. But this month I decided to play because one of the monthly thread knitters, Rain Feather 13 her name is, she's a wonderful dyer, absolutely wonderful dyer, and she's offering up a set of mini skeins. And I really want them for my blanket. So yes, so I managed to enter my trousers, and I think I can enter my blanket squares as well, and another couple of hours and I can enter my sock. And one other acquisition from Yarningham is that Progress Keeper. I got this from Jenny's stand, and it's a little plastic ball filled with glittery crystals. I love it. She tried to give it to me for free, but I refused and slipped £2.50 into her penny. So yes, I'm nearly done on those. I will cast on another pair of socks once those are done. I haven't decided which pattern yet. I've got some nice lilac yarn dyed by Ellie of Tith and Bryn that would be lovely for a really nice patterned sock. So I might find something lacy or cable-y that'll really show up well in the yarn. We'll have to see. So that was my sock. Oh, and then the other thing was my Epistrophy cardigan from Yokes by Kate Davies. Let me find you there we are. That's the cardigan pattern. Now, last episode I'd finished the body, and now I have finished the sleeves. This is a steeked cardigan, so you knit everything in the round, body up to here, arms up to here, join them all together, knit the patternwork yoke, and then you whoop up the front with some scissors, and presto chango, you have a cardigan. So I have knit 2 sleeves. I was a little worried about the amount of yarn. I'd allocated 2 balls for each sleeve, which left me with 2 balls for the yoke and the button band. I actually only needed 3 balls for the sleeves. So I've got 5 left, which is much more comforting, so I shouldn't have to play any yarn chicken. Again, I cast on in my contrast colour, and it's a beaded rib cuff, which I really like. There you are, look. Nice DK yarn, nice inky blue colour. This is going to be a bit of a Franken cardigan. I knit a size 6 for the hips, and I decreased to a 5 for the waist and the bust. And these are size 8. I know I do a lot of weightlifting, but I wasn't expecting to have a size 8. I wanted about an inch of positive ease in this cardigan, and I needed an 8. So I also added an inch to the length. So these are 20-inch sleeves. So, you know, there we are. Nice sleeve for you there. Now, the next part of the pattern is you join the sleeves. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. I beg your pardon. The next part of the pattern is I join the sleeves and the body together, and there's about a dozen rows of just blue knitting before you start the yoke patterning, and you use those dozen rows to get to the correct stitch count for the pattern repeat of the yoke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit a tension square of the Fair Isle pattern, so I can make sure my tension is correct. And then I'm going to count how many stitches I've got between the sleeves and the body, and try and work out this circumference of myself so I can choose the right yoke size. So when I've done that little bit of maths, I'll have about 1.5 inches in which to decrease down to the correct stitch count size. So I've got quite a busy weekend with this staff barbecue, so I think a Fair Isle tension square is not on the cards for the next couple of days, but I'll get that done, and I'll certainly have the tension square to show you next time, and hopefully I'll have made a start on the yoke as well. So I feel I've made good progress. I've got a finished sewing object. I've made good progress on my socks and my cardigan, started a new project, bought some lovely yarny things. So yes, that is pretty much it for episode 7. Oh, one last thing. I did want to remind you about the Toft Alpaca 10th anniversary open weekend, which is Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th of August at the Toft Alpaca Farm in Dunchurch, Warwickshire. There's various crafty events, some new indie dyed yarn to buy, of which Jenny Vow About Yarn is one. You can walk an alpaca, feed an alpaca, bring a picnic in the kids. I'll be there on the Saturday with Jocelyn and my mum. Jenny will be there with her family as well. So if you're around, I'll try and remember to wear my Ravelry badge. I forgot it when I went to Yarningham, but if you see me, do come and say hello. It would be lovely to meet you. I'll take lots of pictures and hopefully a bit of video as well, so I can show you in the next podcast. Right, well, thank you for spending some time with me. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Click subscribe. Always nice to have more subscribers, and then you won't miss any podcasts. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Happy knitting, happy sewing, happy making, and have a lovely time. Okay, cheerio.